Hello and welcome to yet another preview video of a real-time step-based dungeon crawler by a Polish indie studio. This time we will have a look at Skullstone by the developer Blacktorch Games and the publisher Hyperstrange. The game is still scheduled for release in 2022, but because there are no updates on Facebook or Twitter for, well, about a year or so, I'm rather skeptical about a release very soon. However, there are a couple of updates on the YouTube channel just indicating that the game is still alive and being developed. So if you are interested in staying up to date with that game, I recommend to check out the YouTube channel and maybe subscribe to that, to my YouTube channel of course as well, but I meant the YouTube channel of the developer. And of course you can also wishlist the game on Steam and follow it, I guess, on Steam to be informed about any updates regarding that. In this video we will have a look into the demo version, which is freely available on Steam. And yeah, with that, let's just jump right into it. And here we are in the main menu, and we will just quickly have a look into the options here. Language, you can switch that between English and Polish, and that's it in terms of available languages. Then you have a couple of graphical settings. I tried to reduce the shadow quality to low, but this did not have any impact in terms of performance. I realized there's a bit of a stuttering in the game and I wasn't able to get rid of that, so it's probably baked into the engine or whatever. And yeah, we have a sound volume and that's pretty much it. By the way, I will not show you the whole playthrough of the demo version. If you're interested into seeing that, I recorded everything and you can find a link down in the video description, but in this video I will just show you a little bit of the beginning, like some fighting, something in the middle, and then basically what to expect and how the demo version is ending, so that you get an idea about what's in there and what to expect from the final game, from my perspective, from someone who's played the demo. I mean, I'm not the developer, right? So let's start a new game. And the interesting thing here is, if it's, yeah, we got we can't freely create our characters, but we have a bunch of characters we can select from. So they all have their own like background story, they have their own abilities, and they have their own skills. I mean, some of these are shared, of course, like heavy armor, right? I mean, they both have the heavy armor thing. So every time you get a level up, you get some points you can distribute on these abilities. And they mostly give passive, well, they all give passive bonuses, like shield defense and whatnot. But they also have skills, and these you can see, this one is available from level 1. Heals caster's HP, but this is also, I mean, this is called differently. This is Troll Blood and this is Fresh Blood. But yeah, these are unlocked once you reach that level, and these are active, the only active abilities these characters have, and they get unlocked at a certain level. So this is level 1, this is level 4, this is the maximum you will reach in the demo version, and this is level 7. And now we can select these characters. Of course, in the demo version you only have a couple characters available. You have like these two warrior guys, you have one rogue, I guess this is also more of a warrior, clash of arms, clash, alright, duration until next attack. What's that? Increases power of the next melee attack, doubles the cooldown timer, alright. We have a ranger, and we have like the only mage and healer of the bunch. So I will just pick like this tank guy, yeah, chosen, and let's pick this guy, chosen, and then this hunter, yes, and lastly the mage or healer. All right, and with that, let's start into the game. And as I mentioned, it's a real-time crawler, and we will directly get attacked by some enemies which are roaming around in the very first room, so we need to look out for that. And of course, yeah, this is like how you control the game. And I will get to that in just a second. You can see there's the first red. So the movement, you can either use WASD, and what's not mentioned in this screen you just saw is that you can also use the numpad. And this, I think, is very helpful, because that way you can have the right hand on the numpad and the left hand on the 1, 2, 3, 4, because if I hit the key 1, I can actually use both weapons on the first character, and with 2 I'm using both weapons on the second character, and so on. So that allows me basically to run around and hit at the same time without needing to click on every single thing here. But you could also already see basically my main issue with the game. The combat are not really involving, right? I mean, basically you are just circling around the enemies until they die, unfortunately. So you can see, like, they all have their basic armor. We can use, I mean, there is a shield to defend, but you could see before that we will never get hit anyways. There are some exceptions later on, but in the beginning there's no risk there. So let's just take the dagger and give it to this guy, and the sword, he can take it. So everyone has 2 weapons. Well, not everyone, these 2 guys have 2 weapons. Actually, you can't use the dagger. So let's have another look at the skills and the character values here. So we have strength, dexterity, intelligence, endurance, and constitution. Unfortunately, there's no description of what these are doing. So yeah, there's that. We have the experience bar, of course. And then we have our abilities, and there you can see that this guy has axes and swords, but he has no dagger, and therefore if he equips this dagger, he's kind of yeah, he doesn't really know how to use that. This guy can use swords and axes, but yeah, actually both can do that, and nobody can use the dagger. The mage in the back has, and by the way, I like how this interface is feeling. This is actually, the graphics are nice of the interface, and it's also feeling nice. So how things are popping up, how this is shrunken down, how if you find containers like this bag, for example here, like I can open that, I can drag these things out. I think that's working fine. I like that. So what did I want to say? Yeah, because I will not get hit anyways, I will just maximize the damage pretty much. And the mage can only use the wand or whatever it is, the stuff, to fire some magical arrows. I did not quite get how this I think it's like endurance points or something, or magical points, whatever. They are used for casting and for shooting the bow, but for some reason they're not used for melee. So yeah, it's a bit weird. So if you want to heal with the main character, first you need to with the mage. First you need to level up anyways, otherwise this healing skill is not unlocked. And you also need to save the mana. You cannot attack with that character, because then you run out of mana again. Alright, so we have no hunger, but once you run out of mana, you can use this corn, for example. There's nutrition, and then we will get some mana back. So the cool thing here is that you also have quests and something to follow. This quests, how this is like displayed, it looks a bit cheapish, but alright. And there is a bit of story. So we already found this this piece of paper here, a letter with commands, and this is like talking about how these guys are supposed to stay down because there's a plague going on and on the upper level. And the background story, I think, for us getting here is that we ended up here because of a teleportation going wrong or something. So now we need to figure out a way to get out. Something went wrong during teleportation and you find yourself in a cave. Find the way to the village. Alright. So, as I mentioned, I'm using the right hand for moving most of the time, unless I'm running around and picking stuff up, then I'm using the right hand for my mouse, and the left hand I keep on 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 is the first character, 2 is the third, the second character, 3 is the third, 4 is the fourth. So you can pick up the arrows again, which of course is annoying, but yeah. All right, there's another rat, and of course we repeat the same, and that's pretty much how the combat is working. And of course, in normal case, if we don't mess up, we will never get hit. And we got some... There's another one. So you could also see this. There was this magical bolt. This is from our mage. These rats have 6 eyes or something. Alright. There's yeah, arrows, arrows, arrows. Where are our arrows? Here. Alright. So we have another crate here. We have some ore. I didn't find any use of that ore. The crates, for some reason, you cannot open them. You always need to put them into the inventory, and then you could take out the stuff, which I don't want. You could also see that now the character is overloaded, and then you are very slow, which of course is bad if you want to dance around the enemies. And you can see that this character already has fresh blood. He can heal right away. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe that's a bug actually, that this is right away available right away. So of course in this case I messed up. Even this one hit wasn't necessary. Okay, I think we can't go. Actually, we can go there. All right. There are more rats, and you can see, unfortunately, that yeah, the combat is not just extremely safe. You basically nothing can happen to you if you do it the right way, but it's also a bit tedious. It takes a long time to kill every single enemy. I mean, not super long, right? But it's also not like, okay, I'm just exploring and killing the stuff which is along my way. And it will take a bit longer later on, so... Combat is definitely the main focus of the game. You will spend most of the time in combat, or, well, of course running around in the dungeon, but there's a significant time in combat, and I'm not sure if you compare that with Lands of Lore. So if there's more combat in this game, it definitely feels like you're more busy with the combat. I mean, just to give you an idea, I spent like this 2.5 hours or so in this game on just 2 maps, and so there are only 2 maps in the game, and yeah, most of the time you spend basically fighting, and for that I don't find the combat engaging enough, interesting enough. I mean, there are more enemies. They're not just these rats, but there's also not a huge range, and I will show you a bit more of that in a few minutes. So there you could see, and there was a bit of stuttering. That was nice, right? The spider was on at the ceiling, and there you could also see that our mage just froze enemy. All right. forward. Alright. And you could also see that we got some experience. There's always this yellow number popping up. And yeah, that's the basic gameplay here. Of course, I mean, there's another one. You can see it's just full of enemies, which I guess is okay, but if the combat is not engaging enough, it's it gets a bit tedious. I wanted to show you something else, if I can find a spot where we can see that. And there's one. There's also one. Okay, we need to kill them first. That maybe because previously I took the rogue as my second character and not this guy. Maybe the rogue is just much worse than this guy. Okay. There's nothing. This is a dead end. But yeah, the map is nice to look at. Helps a lot. You also have this mini-map. You cannot navigate on the map. Ah, yeah, exactly. There are these little holes where also some rats are hiding in. So, alright. Okay, so that's it for like this first thing. As I mentioned, I don't know what we can do with the ore, but so that's basically the main gameplay. And now we would go from corridor to corridor, from room to room, and just kill everything. Find some levers, which are the levers are always just like next to the door. I didn't see like anything which is puzzle like, besides of one key which you then need to use somewhere, and another thing which is actually the goal of this level, and I will show you that one right away. Alright, so in this save game I already explored this dungeon, and it's basically 1 hour after where we left before. And you can see, as I mentioned, I have this rogue character here, and he has a bit of a different skills. He has light armor, daggers, and rogue fighting style, and he is probably weaker than the other character. But this is also one of the issues with this fighting style. Of course, the cooldown is much quicker, but with this dancing around the enemy, a quick cooldown is actually a disadvantage on if you have the same DPS, because you would engage the enemy more often, instead of, let's say, if you have a very slow weapon, you would just hit once and then run away, run back to the enemy, hit once, and that's safer than hit back in a much quicker rate. So the quest thingy which we had here is that we needed to find explosives, and we need to detonate this thing in front of us. And for that, this was the letter we already saw before. This is another letter, like where we should find some explosives. It's a bit weird because this is saying that consumption northeast corridor, that's east corridor, is that what we should detonate apparently. I don't know, because we are actually in the west corridor. I'm not sure about that. There is maybe some secret. I didn't find that. And then we also got some story about this miners left here in the in these mines abandoned. And you can also see that in this case now we have a higher level. It's level 2. We have these abilities ready. So with this character I can heal. It's all automatically heals the whole party. And now this character is out of mana, so I could either use a mana potion healing 35%, but I can also eat something. It mentions EP restoration decreased. I'm not sure what that means, because obviously we get EP, maybe it gets less than with other eating, but still we get that. Also another thing maybe I can show quickly is that we can also light up the area, and it's a bit confusing because I saw previously that I had a lot of torches and I used them and nothing happened, and I think that's because there are different torches. It's the burnt ones and the fresh ones. So this one is lighting up the room. We don't need that at the moment. So yeah, so this is where we need to detonate some stuff. And this is then a little bit which gives some... I don't know if I need to go away, but... And we got a new level up, and I can show you that. But I think this is something nice, which is not just, okay, running around and killing stuff, but having something to do, and that gives the game yeah, nicer touch. Alright, so let's have a look at the level up. We got 4 ability points and we can spend these now on our abilities. But because we just, I mean, we basically know we will not be being hit anyways, except of, well, some rather rare circumstances. We should focus on increasing our damage, and toughness and so on is rather... well, we can increase that, but it's not a focus. So in this case, I would just increase the strength. We get a little bit of constitution along the way. With this character, I put everything into fighting style, which is increasing the back and sidestep damage. I mean, because we are circling around the enemy anyways, this might help, but we are also going back and forth a lot. We could also decrease the cooldown time here, but I think most is increasing the cooldown time. It's not increasing the damage though, and this might be an issue here. So we will probably need to increase strength more than anything else. So maybe it would be better to focus on swords. I'm not sure what these... Well, probably just green is what's currently equipped. So yeah, we can dump these points in here, and I would do the same in here, like everything which is increasing the damage maybe, and then our last character, and because she's basically here for the heals, she will just increase the healing. So the character system is very bare bones, and because the combat system is how it is, the character system is even made more more simplified than it actually is, because half of the stuff will automatically become useless. There are some situations where you still need like endurance and something like that, and maybe we will see that in a few seconds, because there are some spiders, and while you can always just attack enemies if they are right in front of you with ranged stuff, and of course with melee stuff as well, but there are spiders and they can attack diagonally, and maybe we will find one of these here. And you can see this is an evil rat which has some purple glowing eyes. Not that it changes a whole lot. All right, and you could see that the game was stuttering a bit. That is rather unusual though. I mean, stuttering, yes. Sometimes when I'm turning, it looks like it's maybe missing 2 frames or something. It's like, yeah, not ideal. But like this that the game is hanging, that's rather rare, I would say. So there's another rat. Okay. Burp. Okay. And there you can see another spider, but I don't think that this is one of the, like, the evil spiders yet. Yeah, these are just normal spiders, but I will show you. They are, by the way, they are quicker than the rats. So you do have different types of enemies here. It's not just rats. In the demo, besides of these rats, or different types of rats, I think there are 3 different types. There are also 3 different types of spiders, and then you got skeletons. But that's pretty much it. Alright. These are, as I mentioned, like the harmless spiders, and now we will go over to, well, basically the last part or the last section of the demo, and there maybe we find the other spiders. Let's have a look. Alright, so now here we are in the last section. It's the 2nd level. Actually, there is a door which I was not able to open. There is a keyhole, but while I do have a key, apparently it's not the right one. And there you can see this is like the 3rd type of rat. This one has some weird stuff on the top of the head. And you can also see, it will probably activate it in a second. Yes. It's some kind of evasion spell, and you can see that most of my hits are not actually, or most of my attacks are not actually hitting anymore. So, but it doesn't really require a different tactic, it just means that you have to attack more often. Alright. So there is this keyhole, and I will just try and use the key I have. It doesn't fit. So yeah, I didn't find the right key. This is basically 2 of the mysteries not solved by me. Like this, I didn't get this door open, and I don't know, like this paper I showed you before, how this is actually... if there is like a secret passage or anything like that. I didn't find any secrets. There are no trapdoors, there are no like lever puzzles or something. The only thing is really like puzzle-like is like finding these different items, finding the key and finding the explosives from the previous level. But this is also a harmless spider, so I'm not sure if we do have one of the web... yeah, there. In the back you can see the web spider, and now we cannot move anymore. And this is then where you will definitely take damage. But it doesn't feel like... I mean, this is okay that you have this in the game, but it doesn't feel nice. You kind of need that, because otherwise you would never need to increase your character, use any armor equipment, use any healing or whatnot. But it's also not like it really feels great. So yeah, in order to heal now, we would either drink a mana potion, and then we could use the healing spell. Let's... yeah. And because the spider can just like hit like that, apparently the AI of these spiders is also rather bad, and the hit points are not... oh, I got another level up. Hit points aren't huge. So and we got a free heal. We find a lot of these papers here, dusty notes, but I didn't see any purpose of these. Yeah. Level up. Up. All right. And there's more enemies. Where was our key? There's the key. And yeah, it fits. Now we can open this thing. But that's pretty much it. So you can see how the combat is working, and yeah, as I mentioned now multiple times, I am not a fan of this type of combat in general, but I think in games like Eye of the Beholder or in the first half of Stonekeep and in the second part of Stonekeep it gets annoying, but in the first half of Stonekeep it's also fine because it's not annoying enough to make the rest of the gameplay bad, if that makes sense. It's not, well, of course these games are combat focused in some way, but you're not spending, you don't feel like, okay, I'm just going from combat to combat, but there's a lot of exploration and stuff in between. And I don't quite have the feeling here. I feel like I'm spending 90% of my time in combat, and I don't find the combat very engaging. Now, if that was an interesting combat, like if that was a turn-based combat where in each fight, in each battle, you had to think about, okay, what do I do next with each character and so on. Like, for example, in Operencia, or almost every combat is interesting because they're turn-based. And on top of that, there's this story and puzzle and everything. But here, it's really focusing on, let's say, 80-90% combat, and then you have a little bit of exploration, and there my torch went out, a little bit of exploration, a little bit of puzzling, and a very little bit of story. But yeah, it's really focusing on combat, unfortunately. And now we finished the demo.
Make their way to the surface. Their eyes were blinded by the light. Squinting, their eyes struck by piercing daylight, they make for the exit. Greedily drawing their first breath of fresh mountain air, they leave the mines behind and follow the path before them. Finally, they see a small mining town in the distance. The name on the signpost pointing to it seems familiar. At last, they've reached their destination.
Yeah, and like the before mentioned Operencia, this game also has a hub. In case you didn't play Operencia, once you finish like the first 1 or 2 levels or something, you will get into, or you will have like a map, and then you can travel from different level to level. And this is similar here. So we are now in the town. We can talk to the guys here and ask about, yeah, what happens? And now it's basically saying, yeah, this demo is over and stuff. But we can also go back to the mine, and then I guess you will get different quests and go to different locations, and you can also go back to other locations. So for example, I didn't find this key and maybe the secret thing or whatever before, so maybe I find the key in a different dungeon and go back to there, or like it is with Operencia, like there is a gap or the lava thing, and then later on you find some stuff where you can cross this lava thing. So I think that's interesting. I definitely like this like hub approach, and that you get quests and a little bit more of story. But yeah, for me, in order to play it, I think it would need to make the combat more interesting, more engaging. But that's me. Maybe for you it's different. Let me know down in the comments. That was Skullstone by, let me have another look here, by Blacktorch Games and the publisher Hyperstrange. If you're interested into the game, as I mentioned in the beginning, then make sure to wishlist the game on Steam. And in order to follow the developer, there is a Facebook page which is kind of abandoned, there's a Twitter page which is kind of abandoned, but there is a YouTube channel, and I will also link that down in the video description, which you can then subscribe to, and then you will get updated videos by the developer if you're interested in that. So that's it from me. Now we will listen to some more of this nice music while yeah, this video is closing out. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.